When it comes to sports manga, the plot, lessons it tries to teach you, and characters often go through development and progression in the games played throughout the story. This form of growth is very interesting and engaging when done correctly. This is seen in Haikyuu. The games that are played are truly a work of art that elevate the series to new heights. This video will be separated into possibly 3 parts. But in this video, while I won't go over every game or the practice matches, I will be speaking on the games that I felt held the most importance and showed the greatness of the character/story writing. The first official match against Takonami, who served the purpose of having Karasuno present their new and fresh team that has had the necessary players added that will aid them in becoming a superpower again. And with the girls' Karasuno game playing simultaneously as this one, it draws parallels with having themselves and Tokonami playing with 100% effort despite knowing they aren't really a contender in the tournament. And when both sides lose, we see how unforgiving the tournament can be, with how quick the third year's high school volleyball journey can end. Hinata sees this and it reinforces his goal to stay on the court longer to play more volleyball. The date tech match saw Asahi gain his confidence back and show Karasuno breaking through new barriers. The first Alba Josai match was used to show the skill gap Karasuno would have to close in order to move on in the tournament. This match featured Sugawara, who gets to play and bring a different style to the team, but struggles being able to use his team's greatest weapon at 100%, but keeps his head up, making the most out of the chances he's given, and even offers Kageyama some advice. Yamaguchi was used in an interesting way that allowed the audience to see how different the world is when stepping on the court. But lastly, it highlighted the rivalry between Kageyama and Oikawa, the stripping of his tyrannical king behavior, and his growing passivity as a setter. During the game, Kageyama and Oikawa trade blows showing what each other can do. The depth in this rivalry comes from the story making it clear that while Oikawa is currently better of the two, he still isn't a natural, and will be eclipsed by Kageyama, which is explored further in a flashback, where Oikawa becomes shaky with the arrival and exponential growth of a young Kageyama. After having a bad game and being subbed out for it, and being approached by Kageyama, he lashes out in rage. But with the help of his teammates and his strong work ethic, he gains his confidence back. He knows for a fact that he will be bested by Kageyama, but he'll be damned if he just lets it happen without having anything to say about it. What is so tragic about this is that Oikawa is just delaying the inevitable, simply putting a hold on the unavoidable future that looms in the back of his mind. Near the end, Oikawa admits that one day he may be beaten, but that day just isn't today. Karasuno suffers their first real loss, but is taught the lesson that losing is a trial to your will, testing if you'll get up after being knocked down. In the Miyagi Prefectural qualifiers of the Spring INTERHIGH qualifiers, the games Karasuno have before finally meeting Alba Josai again have them adapt a more spontaneous and unpredictable style of play, and putting an awkward situation having to play without their solid foundation and captain, who was injured in a collision. With all these trials and tests, they have morphed into a completely different team when facing Oikawa for the second time. But Alba Josai went through a transformation as well, and now having the mad dog Kentaro Kiyotani. With his introduction into the game, he changes Seijo's cool, level-headed, calculated, and elegant style of play into something unknown. He's a rough and tough player that steals spikes from his teammates, but provides that raw aggression that is needed for success. Kiyotani's character arc was in the form of finding a family or just being able to fit in with a team. And he finds that in Alba Josai when he sees how much they care for him and will always have his back. Similar to the last match, Yamaguchi comes in and improves upon his serves, staying on the court longer and rising to the occasion. And the rivalry of the two setters continues. There's another flashback that shows Oikawa speaking to someone. He tells him that it's insane to say you know your limits at such a young age before you've done any real growing. And he shouldn't complain about more talented players, but instead keep believing he's got more to prove. But the time Oikawa knew was coming has finally come. After a grueling match where he tried every trick he knows, he loses to Kageyama, giving the match a passing of the torch undertone. Finally, in the Miyagi Prefectural finals, we see once and for all the team and players that were spoken of as almost legends and myths, and one of the best power ceilings and antagonistic teams in all of sports fiction, Shiratorizawa and Ushijima Wakatoshi. From the beginning of the match, Karasuno has high nerves, especially the third years because it's the first time they've reached nationals if they win, and the end of their high school volleyball journey if they lose. Off rip, the power of Shiro Torizawa and how well organized the team are is shown. Not making any unnecessary decisions and preserving Ushijima's energy for delivering the killing blows. The match manages to deliver on giving us an antagonist that can stand on equal footing to Oikawa, in the character of Coach Washijo. When he was a kid, he wanted to play volleyball. He loved the game but was told he was too short. So instead of quitting the sport entirely, he becomes a coach, accepting his quote-unquote disadvantage and using that exact logic for Shiro Torizawa's team philosophy, power and height. That philosophy brought him much success, which only strengthened his beliefs and ideals more, and he built his team around the player who personifies these ideals the most, handpicking his players who each add exactly what is needed. Satori Tendo and his cheerful yet sadistic attitude matched with his insane ability to block. Kenjiro Shirabu's near distaste to be in the spotlight, which allows the team to not have too many personalities clashing. First year Tsutomu Goshiki's admiration for Ushijima that gives him the ambition to be a better player than him. Rion Ohira's ability to cover for his teammates when needed while also being the team's mental rock. And Ada Semi for his competitiveness. And like many antagonists, ideals are challenged. Shoyo Hinata mirrors Washijo when he was young. As Washijo's looking on, he's seeing Hinata play. He's essentially watching his very own ideals crumble right in front of him, looking at what could have been. We were also subjected to witnessing the great redemption arc of Tsukishima, going from an obnoxious, smarky know-it-all to a dependable blocker that loves volleyball. It was such a joy to see because it was something we've seen in development for chapters upon chapters, having it tied up in their most important game beautifully. Karasuno wins with Ushijima being beaten, and the third year is finally able to go to nationals. The INTERHIGH qualifiers and Spring INTERHIGH qualifiers presented challenges for all characters involved and gave all the tools, lessons, tests, hardships, and triumphs Karasuno as a team and individual players had to require to be able to last in the world of the top level teams. In part 2, I'll go over the important games and nationals. And as always, thank you very much and have a great day.